If I only had $60 to spend, but I wanted to hook someone up this Christmas with an epic pocket knife, this would be it. And the blade I'm talking about is the FLYTANIUM Beef. What is going on? Gideon's Tactical crew, gear lovers the world over, welcome back. I'm Aaron, kicking it with you guys, and I cannot believe I slept on this knife so long. I'm just like, what the heck was I thinking? Now, I saw when the Beef first dropped in 2024, and I was like, yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm familiar with FLYTANIUM, and if you're not, I own one of their other models called the ARCHADE, and then what they kind of bring to the table is customization. You can trick out the blade and get even different blade shapes, possibly steels, thumb studs, back spacers, handle scales, and you really kind of mod the knife how you want, and gives it its own personal flair to you. And so they just poured that concept into a more budget-friendly, overbuilt design. And so about a month ago, I was like, I should probably do that. You know, we're coming up on the holidays. Maybe, you know, it's a decent budget option that I could recommend to you guys. So I went over to Blade HQ, pulled the trigger, and I cannot believe what this knife does. It is a blast. Guys, it is big, full, capable, comes with Sandvik 14C28N steel, but I couldn't help myself when I saw that they have a secondary blade that you can buy extra that has a massive upgrade in steel quality. So we're gonna swap the blade on this for this a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. But before we do that, I gotta show you guys some beautiful blade footage here at the Blade Bootcamp Stump on how this blade actually works, along with all the other hardware aspects you can customize and modify. And if you were already on the fence and you just needed that little extra push in this design, I can easily tell you, now having used it extensively, this is one of my favorite and most capable designs that I've tested out this year. So I'll have a link popping up. It's in the description box below. Anytime you want, you can hop on over, check this out for yourself. But let's begin with the pointy part of the blade and dig in to the beef. Really digging that tip geometry. Do you realize how much of a nerd you sound like when you say tip geometry? Oh, bro, the tip geometry feels so good. It's cutting like crazy. All right, nerd. Which I am absolutely one. Now from handle to tip, we're looking at 3.5 inches, meaning that there's a lot of blade to work with, but it's not getting overly ridiculous. And I have the blackout version, but you can get uncoated blades if that's your thing. Now, even though it's got swedges and stuff, man, we got flat platforms everywhere to do stuff like this. Target located. Engage with wood. Execute task. Thank you for choosing Gideon's Tactical. We invite you to subscribe, like, and share. That was my terrifying AI voice from the spacecraft you're on. Now they definitely put some beef on the stock thickness. It's 0.135 inches thick, so definitely over an eighth with a high flat or saber grind. So potentially, that could mean that it's durable, but it doesn't cut very well. And we'll get to that in just a moment. And it was over a year ago that I first put a Bear watch on my wrist. And since then, they've gone with me on awesome, crazy adventures into the great outdoors. They've been with me on memorable moments with my friends and family and just everywhere in between. And I just end up finding them on my wrist more often than not, because they just keep on ticking and they just have a level of quality and style that really connects with me. And with many of their designs being assembled right here in America, it's just cool knowing that American workers built the watch that's on your wrist. And with so many different power sources and movements to choose from basic quartz through AmeriQuartz into solar power movement, all the way up into automatic, there's a plethora of choices and designs for you to choose from. And so I'm gonna have a link popping up. It's in the description box below, so you can start exploring all the different features and designs and capabilities that these watches have. And they make great gift items for the holidays, for friends and family, or even yourself. So check them out and stay on time for all of your adventures. This stupid insole completely fell apart on me. Oh yeah. Draw cut galore. Not like James Bond's love interest who flew him around in Goldfinger. Hey-oh! So nice. Excellent. 7,000-pound toe strap. Now, angle might be able to make the difference. Usually I found that if the blade is under 4 inches, it's not gonna cut in one pass. There you go. You gotta do 2. But no sawing. Right through that. Let's see what happens when we get invited to a feather sticking party. That never happened to you? Your buddy calls you up, he's like, bro, wanna come over and make some feather sticks with me in the backyard? Trust me, it's all gonna be okay. Wow, that sounded, you know, this is family friendly. I'm trying to keep it family friendly, kids, for the kids. Do it for the kids, man. You never done that? You never had come over just like, hey man, come over and hang out. Carve some wood with me. That feels real good. And then obviously edge geometry. Nothing to balk at. I'm getting it done. Getting it done. Can I hack this off? Let's see. Oh my gosh. But thankfully, the edge geometry is really well done, and that Sandvik 14C28N, it's holding a pretty good edge. So the stock steel and blade design are working really well. So why would I have dragged my feet for so long to get my hands on this blade? For me, it was the profile. At first glance, with the higher than the handle blade with that thumb ramp going in there, and then the very straight kind of simple handle, I was like, I don't know, is that really gonna be that good? And yes, it's definitely not the most attractive design that I've tested out this year. But thankfully, looks can be deceiving, and it's because they committed to the beefiness of the handle. And they accomplished that with 4.6 inches of overall handle length and just over ½ inch of thickness, with different colors of G10 handle scales and skeletonized liners. That allows me to really grip onto the tool and really put a lot of downward force, getting a lot of heavy tasks done. Corrugated sign has nothing to say against that blade, man. Oh, and okay, look at the ergos as that freaking dump truck, trash truck beeps like crazy in my cul-de-sac. Anyway, look at that. I mean, the girth. That smaller, thinner handles aren't gonna allow me to do. And surprisingly, with that thumb ramp and that jimping isn't super aggressive. Oh, guys. Again, because of the fullness of the handle, the simplicity of the handle, even right there, locked in, that feels real good. And then obviously edge geometry. And even in a reverse grip, because I can rest my thumb right there, bam, I was totally in control and had confidence that it wasn't going to slide down onto the blade. So that's the 1,000-foot overview of the design itself, but what are some of the upgrades that they've done since the original release, and some of those customization options, including the crazy upgrade in steel. The first upgrade was in hardware. Now, everything is T8 compatible, meaning that you don't have to swap between different bits to take apart the knife and swap different accessories, and it just helps kind of with the upgraded beefy feel. That, along with now recessed pocket screws, meaning there's nothing for it to snag onto. That pocket clip is excellent, got some good tension, and it is tip up and ambidextrous. So with the crossbar lock and the thumb studs, this is absolutely an ambidextrous knife. So those are some massive, very good upgrades, listening to the consumer, hearing feedback, and changing on the fly. Now we're gonna head to the tabletop for me to reveal the steel choice that they went with and how to swap out the blade and other parts of the tool that are customizable. But there are two things just to be aware of. First and foremost is that this does run on bearings, which is super smooth, works great, but I definitely have a clack, and it's definitely around the housing here. It's not the blade smacking back and forth. I've tested that because even when I grip the blade, it's still there. Now, I have $160 pocket knives that make that same rattle. It's probably the bearings moving around a little bit in there. When we disassemble the knife here momentarily, we'll see if we can fix that, but that may be something to be aware of. And though the thumb studs and crossbar lock are very easy to engage, and they're placed really well, you can see there I'm just, you know, woo, Fly me to the moon. The one issue I have is that the thumb stud and crossbar are not chamfered. The tips are not rounded at all, so it's pretty abrupt. I definitely had to build up a little bit of a callus over the first couple days of using the tool, and that's partly due to the fact that there's this little tiny lip right there that is pretty aggressive, and the honeycomb on the crossbar, same kind of thing. So not the end of the world, but it's just something to kind of be aware of, and you may have to build up some callus if this is going to be your go-to folder. Or bust out the sandpaper and knock down those shoulders. All right, I think we've waited long enough. There it is, S90V. That is the steel upgrade that you can get for this beef. That is bananas, guys, that you can upgrade this knife. So if I was you, I would start with this. If you're in love with it as much as I am, and then you're like, you know what, I need to upgrade this thing. I just want better edge retention. I just like having like more premium aspects to my steels. Boom, coated or uncoated, 80 bucks for that blade. $80 for this right here. So we're looking at 140 bucks right here for this thing. That is phenomenal. And we're gonna swap this out here real quick with our T8s, and I'm gonna be using my little WIHA Go Box kit over here. I'll try and link it. I use this thing all the time. It's a micro ratchet that has all the bits that I usually need for most maintenance. So I'm just gonna bust out my ratchet right here. There we go. Yeah. So there we go, nice and easy. It's always good to have some sort of a work mat. I know you guys ask me a lot about this. This is one of my favorite work mats. They have a few different sizes, and I love that they have magnets, so you're not gonna accidentally just bump it off, or something like that. The kids come running by and bang, hit it or whatever. So I'll have that linked in the description box below if you guys wish. So we got that off. We're gonna take the thumb studs off next. All right, so I took all the hardware off of the non-show side. That's the show side, non-show side, so that I can then take the scale off. There's everything. Speaking of hardware, every part of this can be purchased at wholesale cost. I think the most expensive part I saw was $3, which is insane. And then they now have their bits warranty, which from what I can read is like one of the best warranties you're gonna find on a pocket knife. And there we go, took a little finagling, but I got it through there. And they have a great walkthrough video that I'll link in the description box below. For how you disassemble and then reassemble the beef. So you can check that out and see it in detail if you want to strip it down and then put it back together. There it is, guys. Check that out. S90V now, baby. Now we're cooking. There it is, guys. In conclusion, I cannot say enough good things about this design. It just gives you a lot of cool customization, and this is definitely making the best pocket knives of 2025 list that I will be dropping here in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. And just really impressed with what FLYTANIUM has been able to do with the beef. Leave a comment below on what you guys think, especially if you already own one. How has it been performing for you? I invite you to check out the other video, to subscribe, and always remember to stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.